dodging in particular for lacrosse is kind of the same as making moves on your defender in the slot for football. One of the moves I made against Pitt on my punt, people related a lot to a lacrosse crossover, which was pretty much exactly like that.
Here come the Irish. What a run! Touchdown! Play of the year for the Irish.
Welcome to the ND on NBC podcast. I'm your host, Coy Robinson. What a great day. A win, not just a win, 45-7 on senior day. Come on, it's great. The fall leaves are turning where I live here in New York. Notre Dame won. We're going into this Thanksgiving weekend just full of hope and turkey. Gotta love it. So we have, the game was great for me because I got to see Steve Angeli come in and throw a touchdown, a dime. So I was just like, I was over the moon. Everything was it just seemed like it was wonderful. So now I want to throw quickly to our interview because this young man is an impressive young man. He's doing things that most of us mere mortals just couldn't really imagine doing, playing football, lacrosse, studying, all as just an 18-year-old. It's just amazing how he's doing at such a young age. This is Jordan Faison, a wide receiver who has 11 catches, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns so far this season. I want you to get to know him a little better. So without any further ado, here's Jordan. It's my pleasure now to welcome in Jordan to the podcast. Jordan, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving week. What are your plans this week on Thursday? Do you have like a Thanksgiving celebration that you and the guys do at the hotel or something?
Yeah, so we'll go to the hotel after our practice to get a meal, and then later that night, for the guys that are staying here, we'll go to our position coach's house for a nice little Thanksgiving dinner.
Do you have I don't want to be too controversial, but I'll ask anyway. Is there a particular dish that you think is like, this has to be at every Thanksgiving meal? You know, are you a sweet potato guy? Are you like, help me understand what you're doing for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm a big mac and cheese guy. Mac and cheese definitely has to be on the menu. My dad's side of the family is from Atlanta, so I'd go there for Thanksgiving when I was younger, and mac and cheese was always what I was looking forward to. So that's definitely got to be on the Thanksgiving menu.
Do you also cook?
I try to cook. I wouldn't say it's the greatest food, but I try.
Okay. Are you gonna be cooking this Thanksgiving? And if so, what would you make?
I probably won't be cooking this Thanksgiving, but if I were to, it might be like a cake, or I might do a little turkey or something.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I gotta ask because you play lacrosse, you play football. I didn't know if chef was also on that list. I didn't know. Before we get into football, I gotta ask you about lacrosse. So I am like, this might sound strange. I love the game of lacrosse. I think it's one of the purest, most beautiful games ever. You know, it reminds me a lot of hockey and basketball. I just love the game. What drew you to? Because I know as soon as this season's over, you're heading over to play lacrosse for Notre Dame, one of the best teams in the country. What drew you to lacrosse in the first place?
So when I was younger, I was playing football when I was about like 8 or 9 years old, and I had a friend that played lacrosse too for our same like little league kind of area. And so after one of our games, he had a practice after the game, and it looked interesting. So I went over and like started playing around with the sticks, and the coach invited me to come out and play. So after that, I went to a practice, felt out the sport, and then told my parents I really liked it. And then the rest is history from there.
Yeah, and people don't necessarily understand, how quick the game is, and the footwork is insane. So, how is the footwork, I guess, do you see lacrosse as cross-training, perhaps? Or how does that work in your mind with these two sports?
Yeah, I definitely say it crosses very well. The dodging in particular for lacrosse is kind of the same as making moves on your defender in the slot for football. And also with the ball in your hands, making moves. Like one of the moves I made against Pitt on my punt, people related a lot to a lacrosse crossover, which was pretty much exactly like that. So the footwork translate pretty directly.
And people don't realize Jim Brown was like one of the best lacrosse players ever. There's a big kind of marriage between a lot of lacrosse guys at the highest level at the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League, or in college. They grew up loving football and they played that way. When you think about your time as quarterback and now as receiver, do you think of the offenses? Is it similar in lacrosse and football? Does that also the mental aspect of seeing the game unfold in real time? Is that similar as well for you?
Definitely. In lacrosse, when you're dodging, it's not just against your man. It's also the slot defender that's coming. So you kind of got to keep your eyes up while you're making the move. And it translates that directly to that slot position and kind of receiver where there could be a guy pressing you, but a safety is making a rotation. So you got to see your guys making a move and then also see the safety and the defense you're coming up against.
Wow, so cool. Okay, so let's talk about football now. Let's just walk me through how you basically played like every position. Your quarterback, DB, receiver. Um, at what point in your career did the game from like a purely X's and O's mental standpoint kind of click for you, where you can kind of see everything all at once and it started to make sense?
Yeah, it was kind of as soon as I got here for fall camp. Back in high school, I played quarterback, but it wasn't really much reading defenses. It was more of a just, get the ball and run around the field type thing. So as soon as I got here, I definitely had a lot to learn. And as soon as fall camp hit, we got right into the playbook and then understanding defenses. And that's where I really started to pick up on my mental part of the game.
Did you also, because college is so different than pros, and I think this is like a very understated point. Like it's like a different game entirely. Did you, with your coaching staff? I know there's like so many people who have like coaching experience in the NFL. Like it's like Al Gold's just kind of there. Did you ever just like go to the defensive guys and just say, hey, I want to learn both like the pro system, learn the college system, and just kind of pick that apart so you can better understand how to manipulate that as an offensive player?
Yeah, definitely. One of the biggest guys I think is Cam Hart. We'll work after practice. I work with him, and it'll kind of let me know the tendencies of what DBs do, and then how I could use that as a leverage as being a wide receiver. So definitely working with the older guys and the defensive guys helps a lot.
What are the psychology like points, in playing receiver? Because people think, okay, you got to be like Calvin Johnson or like a George Kittle. I guess all these tight ends receivers are kind of the same anyways. Like Travis Kelce, you got to be big, strong, fast. But what role does psychology play in that position?
Definitely having a mental edge is a huge thing. If you go into a game and you get locked up on one play, maybe you can't let that translate into the next play. You kind of got to leave it in the past and move on to the next play. Because, if you're in your head before a play, it's just going to go downhill from there. So you kind of got to restart every play, have that mental edge, and go out there and compete every play.
Well, what about the chess match between that, like you're talking about Cam Hart, the tendencies, understanding that DB study you study them, and then when you're actually out there on the field playing the game and third down, fourth down, like red zone, when things actually need to be happen, what does that psychology happen? Like, what does that look like in the 6 seconds that it transpires?
Yeah, so quickly off rip, when you're breaking out of the huddle, you're looking at how they're lined up, if they're inside, if they're outside. And then it's kind of like right off the snap where you kind of know what they do. If a safety comes down, plays inside, trying to wall you off, or if a nickelback is trying to keep you inside. So you kind of realize that off the rip. But it's really big. Pre-snap intel is definitely the biggest part of that.
That's so cool. It's fascinating. The mind games, I think, are just crazy. So let's walk back to when you first came to Notre Dame. You had another opportunity elsewhere at Iowa. You wanted to walk on at Notre Dame. Can you just help me? Why was Notre Dame so impactful for you? Why did you want to be here?
Yeah, definitely. So prior to my recruiting really started for Lacrosse junior year. That's when they were allowed to give us offers and talk to us. And so I wasn't really thinking much of Notre Dame, didn't know much about it. It was my second visit. And so when I got up here and got to meet the guys and kind of like know what the school is about, it really hit me like how it's like college is so much more than just playing sports. It's that outside of sports. And so that really stuck with me. And then as I got into my senior years, when football started coming, and I was like, I want to play football too at the collegiate level. It was kind of my dream since I was a kid. And so I told the lacrosse guys, like, that's what I wanted to do. And they were 100% on board with it. And so they talked to the football guys and kind of got me that opportunity. So.
Wow. So when you help me understand when you were a little kid, that the football dream, what was the seed of that? Was there someone in your family who just fall in love with the game? Was there someone that you idolized watching? What was the seed?
So pretty much as soon as I was able to walk, my dad was a football coach, and he brought me to the practices and everything, and he played it in high school as well. And that was kind of what started me into football, seeing all the older guys playing, and it was just like something I wanted to do since I was very young. So I'd definitely say my dad is a huge part of that.
Wow. And let's talk more about this off the field, because I love during these conversations, there's so much more to a player than the number and the mask and all that jazz, the helmet. So what has the off the court endeavors or off the field endeavors been like for you at Notre Dame, as far as living in the dorms and, having friends outside of the team and any other extracurriculars that you kind of stumbled on?
Yeah, definitely. The dorms I could start with is awesome. I mean, the guys in the dorms everyone's new, so they're kind of trying to make these relationships and everyone's cool. And it's kind of cool to realize how you could further those relationships throughout the years here at Notre Dame, and how those will blossom into connections in the future. Classes as well, the teachers are very connected to their students, and they want to learn. They don't just want to teach you about what they're teaching. It's more of they want to connect with you too and kind of have that relationship. So it's definitely awesome to be a part of.
Has there been a moment for you yet where you're thinking, okay, this is what I want to do? Like, long-term post-football, post-lacrosse, like this, there's just something that sparked my imagination, whether sitting in a class or going to an event on campus?
Definitely. I'd say in my business classes, the teachers are very, very good. And they really talk about their connections and kind of their story and their process. And as I'm sitting there listening, it's just like, wow, this is cool. And it's something I want to do, like kind of like a dream outside of football, once sports are done.
Have you always been an entrepreneur?
My dad has his own business. And so I've kind of, followed in those footsteps, but I'm kind of exploring right now.
Hey, with NIL, I mean, anything's possible. Anything's possible. So walk me through this as well. I know when I was in school, we were able to study abroad, go to, I went to, where did I go? I went to South Africa, Morocco, and Israel. When you came to Notre Dame, now that you've been there for a while, have you heard about the abroad experiences by any of your teammates? And do you have any ambition to go abroad and see the world? Are you into that?
I've heard about the abroad situation, and everyone that's done has said it's been an amazing experience for them and really allowed them to develop as, people. I wouldn't say I have much of a opportunity to do it while playing two sports, but if I did, I would definitely try it out.
I guess that's right. I mean, you have to find time to sleep, eat food, maybe. You're right. Yeah. Have friends. I guess you're right. Have you thought about who is there anyone in Notre Dame history that you know of that has maybe reached out, have done that what you're trying to do, play these two sports at Notre Dame at this level?
Yeah, one of the guys right here now, Sam Asaf. He came, I'm not sure if it was last year or 2 years ago, but he's been doing the same thing. So he's been a good mentor. Being able to ask him what it's like, how the transition is, and all that stuff has been really, really impactful.
What was the biggest piece of advice that he's given you? I mean, that's a rare air, man. That's a rare air. Yeah,
it would definitely be. He says it's going to be challenging, but you just got to keep your head down and keep working. And that's really, it's going to take a lot of mental edge, like I was saying before, to get through it all.
Before we get into just like a quick question about Notre Dame traditions and all that jazz, I'm curious. It seems like you have a level of maturity that is pretty profound. How have you been able to develop that mental fortitude to be able to handle? I mean, because playing football at Notre Dame's a lot, and the thing that you add on lacrosse and you add on the business stuff and everything else that you've got going on. How have you managed to balance that?
Yeah, I would definitely say I started at my high school. I went to a very, I'd say, rigorous high school as well academically, and I played basketball, football, and lacrosse there. So it kind of started there with building those tendencies and kind of those skills and management skills I would need to use here. And just building off that year after year has really allowed me to mature in that aspect.
Okay, and then for my final question, before you guys head out to play this weekend, is what is your favorite Notre Dame tradition? It could be anything. It could be on game day. It could be just on campus randomly. What is your favorite thing about campus?
I'd definitely say tradition for football team. After we win, the fight song definitely, and then when we go into the locker room, the song as well. It just, as soon as we start singing, that feeling comes, and it's like you wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
It's funny because it took I think I was there for a long time, and half the guys didn't. I don't know if they knew all the lyrics. when did you learn all the lyrics to it? I mean, we sing it fast in the locker room.
Yeah. Coach Freya made us learn it during fall camp, so he had the freshmen all stand up in front of the team in the team meeting and sing it. And the first time he cut us off immediately because we didn't know any of the words. And then next time we all learned it and we got it pretty good.
Oh, man. Well, best of luck to you, man. And enjoy it. Enjoy the game this weekend. We'll all be cheering for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Man, I love talking lacrosse. Yeah, it's just a fascinating sport. By the way, in case you missed it, Notre Dame on NBC has been extended through 2029. Let's go. The rest of the decade. And that was announced this past weekend. And this weekend, we want to make sure we remember what happened last year. We moved past it. There was a moment where me and Douglas Farmer, who comes on the podcast, we were both dumbfounded how Notre Dame could have lost to that Stanford team, but it did happen. This year, coming off this Wake Forest win, I hope the momentum is carried over and we see another just complete team win. So we'll see. But remember what happened last year. Move past it. We'll be back next week for a recap of Notre Dame's 2023 regular season and what to expect as bowl season comes closer. So be sure to download and subscribe to the Notre Dame on NBC podcast on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts. And I just cannot wait to hopefully have some good news after I eat turkey, watch the dog show, the national dog show on NBC, Thanksgiving Day parade, and Notre Dame win. See you next week. Go Irish.